Great, folks. We're going to try this in one take here. Hopefully, this works well. We've got a couple newbies to our league, whether that's to the game itself online or people who've played a very long time ago, but they're coming back from a hiatus. So I just wanted to record a quick video to talk about things that you should know as a GM and not gatekeep information. I don't, there's already a steep enough learning curve to playing out of the park, so I don't want there to be ever more of a learning curve than there really needs to be. So I wanted to go through a couple of things, tell you about how they work, how we can operate, and what makes sense. So unconventionally, we're going to do this in a couple of parts. So the first part we're going to talk about is actually a little unconventional. We're going to start with Stats Plus, which is the companion tool that every other park league uses. It's where files are uploaded and you export and import from so that we can track all of that. And there's also a lot of fancy tools here to make things easier. So we're going to start with that, talk about how to get the newest game file. Once those are released, and then a couple of other things just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. So I am here on another league that I am in. So we don't have a Stats Plus set up yet. I got to get on that, which means setting up the actual file itself, which I have not done up to this point. So I'm going to tutorial this on another league for all of you. So the first thing that we should do is go to log in. And because we're a Discord league, everybody should sign in with Discord. So this is going to take you to the Discord app. On your Discord itself, I can't show that here, but there's a pop-up to say, hey, Stats Plus wants to access your account. You click on that, say yes, and then it logs you in. So I'm already connected. You won't be connected. There will be a red, pardon me, a little gassy here. There'll be a red thing on the top that says ask your league commissioner or like admin to add you to a team. So because it's through Discord, it'll say like, hey, so and so on the Discord server has connected. Let me assign them to a team. So that's how that'll work. The first thing that you should do once you've done that is go to your preferences tab here. And once you've done that, maybe I shouldn't show the API token. I don't know exactly. But we're going to go to this user configuration thing here. And so you want to enable that. This is important because you will then get notifications sent to your DMs on Discord from the Stats Plus app saying, hey, you've exported for game date. It's a valid export. Everything worked. And it'll also show up with trade requests. So if somebody comes in and trades with you, sends you a trade notification, you can easily access it through there and know what's happening here. So all trades are processed through Stats Plus. So we're going to want to keep that enabled here. I hope this API token's fine. I'm just going to upload this as is. I don't know if this will be busted, but whatever, fuck it. So once we've done that, let's talk a little about Stats Plus and what this does. So the first thing that you should know is the trade tool. The trade tool is a really good setting. So this is my team. I'm the Blue Jays. If we want to choose a trading partner, let's say we want to trade with Tampa Bay, we choose their level. So if I want to trade for Tampa Bay's starting pitching, let's say Chris Sanchez is the guy that I want, I would click plus on here, add to trade. I would choose here. I can also, if I want them to retain dollars, which in our league we can do up to 50%, I can add in a 5% increment just how much I want to trade. If I'm trading a guy in AAA and another guy in AAA here, then I can add those in. I can review the proposal and it'll tell me exactly what it is. I hit send and then a notification if we've set up our Discord right will appear in there. You can check what trades are pending along with any recent trades that exist here. Next, let's go to Export Tracker. So this direct URL, this is the place that if your file ever corrupts, you're going to want to download the league file from here. This will This will give us the league file. We can put that into our saved games, and if something ever goes wrong, we always have this source to be able to use to unpack the actual file itself and use for the most updated information. It also, the export history tells us that I have not exported since July 10th, so it's the 12th. That's no bueno. And who else has exported? So San Diego hasn't exported since the 25th of April. Pretty much everybody else but Baltimore is exported, and I'll tell you the export history as well. So once we actually get into export season, this will be very good for us because it will give us. I am going to track who exports and who doesn't. If people aren't exporting, I will know. We'll have to look for a new GM for them. Probably the most important is the draft. So if we go to league, we go to draft. This is where all of the picks that we make in the draft will go and how you will actually perform the draft. So the pool or list setting is very, very important. So if you know that you're going to be unable to draft or that you might have a limited availability during a time, we can do what's called setting a list. So we can add players to our draft list that we like and go about adding them here. Once we've done that, we can hit save and we can put it on list pick. So this will only choose everybody that is on our list. Like if I want Matthew Nicholas to be my next pick, assuming that he's up, I can put him on list pick and we will be okay. If I think that, you know what, Edwin Vanegas is actually the player that I want at the top, we can drag him up. We can also use these arrows to move if we have a short list. And if we go on auto pick, it will prioritize your list itself, but it will pick from all of the available players based on the Statsplus algorithm if you have this option set. If you run over your timer, which you can see here, so Texas was at 24 hours. I believe our final timer will be 14 or 16 hours. I'm going to put you on auto pick. Basically say when you have the availability, you will be able to add to your list, but you need to stay on auto pick because you've been holding up the draft in the past kind of situation. So this is really good. The draft tab itself has all of the information that one would want. It's the signability, whether the player is very easy to sign, extremely hard, easy, what their demand is, and then all of the ratings that exist. So in this league, it's at 100% scouting, so we don't have the option. But besides the potential bar here, there's usually an OSA versus your scout. So if you want to filter by your scout rather than OSA scouting, you can do that. Or if you want to filter by OSA's ratings, then you can do that yourself. It also allows you the ability to do various filters here. So if we don't want anybody whose signing is impossible, we can go does not equal I. And that will filter out. It should have filtered out everybody that does not equal I. There's filter help here. Let's look at that. So at the bottom, it's just an exclamation point. So it does not I. So everybody who's impossible sign is no longer available for us to look at. If we're looking for a shortstop and we're really desperate, we can go greater than 65 on their infield range and see who's there to add to our list. Apparently there's nobody. We can also sort. So I'm sorting by infield range right now because there was nobody greater than 65. And then if we want infield range and then also to sort by their overall potential, then we can go shift and then click a secondary column. So it'll sort primarily by their infield range and then secondly by their overall potential. So everybody who's 65 comes first, everybody who's 60 comes next, and sorted by their overall potential afterwards. So you can do a whole bunch of things. So if you don't want anybody who's not intelligent, then we can go H or N, and it'll filter out everybody who's dumb as a post. So lots there to help us. Same thing with pitchers. Similar situation. So you can sort by all sorts of various features here. This is wonderful, and it's very helpful for us to go through and just make sure that we're all on the same page here. Final thing I want to talk about with Statsplus before we get going is dev reports. So in-game dev reports do exist, but they also exist within Statsplus and are a little more granular, which can be very helpful for us to look at what's happening under the hood. You're not going to see if a pitcher has an increase to their ground ball percentage in game, but we can see here that John Roy, his ground ball percentage decreased from 58 to 56%. Or you can see, I don't see anything actually here. But if an individual pitch starts to move, so like say your knuckleball goes from 45 to 80 all of a sudden, that'll show up here. There's a couple various tabs, so miscellaneous. Add that, then you can see who is getting fat or who's slimming down. Um, so yeah, Stats Plus is the best. There's a whole lot of features here. I'm not going to go over all of them for you, but I would recommend not Sim Preview, Sim Recap to talk about what happened last. You'll get the best batting performance of the week, any milestones that have been reached. There's also some historical stuff here. So let's talk about how we access the draft and what we would, not the draft, how we access the game file. Um, so we had talked about it from here, and you can download it from there for any new game files. But to get the initial access to the file, you're going to get sent a quick start code. It's going to look something like this. It's going to have all these equal signs, then a bunch of gibberish, then a couple equal signs to the end, if I'm not mistaken. So when I send that over to you when I'm creating all of the GM files, you're going to want to copy and paste all of that, including these equal signs, and then go into your game. So let me add. Shit, I should have added this create new. Sure, 1 second. Specific window out of the park. Okay. And we will want to turn that off. Capture's working. Uh-oh. Ooh, baby. Why is this not working? Oh, this is embarrassing. Capture. Display capture. Which one's that? That's this monitor. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can see my. This is out of the part 25. We will be on 26. When I send you that quick start code, what you're going to want to do is go to the bottom here and there'll be a quick join online league. Be like quick join emails, and you can put your code in there and it'll work. So I'm actually going to continue this game. So we pretend that once that happens, you click OK. What'll happen is you start downloading the file, and you will get it at the certain save state to which this file has been sent to you at. So let me put my password in there. And so then you're going to get in and you're going to be here. Sometimes you won't be on the correct game date. So what I would always recommend is go to File, go to Online League, download latest league file. Then you're going to get this blacked out screen. It's going to download the latest league file for you for your team. Okay, so this is coming up. This is just about done here. And it'll say success league files have been updated. Here's your new game date. Perfect. We're in. So then once you go in, let's make one change really quick. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? Let's DFA somebody really quick. Let's put Ken Towson. Let's designate him for assignment. So he's in my DFA tab. So we're going to go online again, and we're going to export your team via FTP. Success. Our team has been done. Perfect. So, say the game crashes from here. You're doing a bunch of more changes, and you had exported at a certain point, but you had made a few more changes afterwards. Um, so let me pretend that that happens. So if that happens, then you can go import team via FTP, and it'll get you exactly here. and it'll tell you exactly, like, from the last change that you had made, what exactly you had exported, and it'll give you that. So you kind of have save states. So I would always recommend exporting more than you need. There's no limit to exporting in between files. So you can always do this if the game crashes. You never know what happens. So if you make a couple major changes, go to File, Online League, export your team. When that happens, you will get a DM on Discord. It'll look like this from Statsplus. This is why I talked earlier about that, and it'll say valid export received. If you export on the wrong date, it'll say invalid. So you always want to make sure that it says that and that that's all good. So yeah, that is pretty much all I have for part one. We're going to talk a little about how I actually go about looking at a team, just because like looking at this, there's a lot of things to look at. So I'll go about how I generally go about operating on a new file along with, oh, there's one more thing actually. This is more of an advanced thing, but is this tool called the Statsplus API. I'll put this in the description of the video. The major one to look at is draft v2. So let me show you the spreadsheet that I have set up for another league. I use this function called import data, and then I ping towards the API of the draft that for the league that I'm in. So this was in Skyline Baseball. So whatever our Statsplus link ends up being, I believe it should be Final Frontier. If you put that in there, then you can get all of the draft data. You can get all of the most recent draft data. And so that can be helpful if you do not have access to the game, because then you can look here and you can filter by pick. And so if anybody has been picked, I've got it set up so that it doesn't index match to look at the player IDs here versus the player IDs that I've exported from the game file itself and all the scouting that I have. And I can filter some things out. I also have a whole algorithm to sort by various things. So, yeah, I go above and beyond, but this, along with a few other algorithms, can be very, very helpful. Or a couple other APIs, pardon me, can be very, very helpful. Yeah, Statsplus League URL. Can be very, very helpful to getting you set up and being able to draft, which is arguably one of the most important parts of the game. And if you get autoed based on the time slot available, say there is a draft summary, 6 hours. Like say you miss your 3 hour window. So you can set up a list in advance. You can also upload a list. So draft help, it'll tell you how you can do that. So that if you've got a list of guys that you like or that your scout likes, you can go that way and get everything about. So we're at 18 minutes. This ran a little longer than I would have hoped, but I just wanted to talk about all this stuff to make sure that everybody has a baseline knowledge first, and we're all able to access the game and enjoy these things without having to worry about what they look like. So part two will be what I do when I get access to each file, and what I look for and what I'm doing to efficiently finish and like manage my minors and go about injuries, yada yada blah blah. And then part three, I might talk about how I interpret player ratings and what that looks like, just so that people are aware. But anywho, less than 20 minutes, I guess that's okay. I was hoping to do this in 10 or less, but there's a lot to talk about. So I'll leave that here for everybody. I hope you have a great day. And if anybody, I'll public it, but if anybody sees this that is not a part of the league at some point in time, I'll put a link to our Discord server invite there. It'll be a permanent one. So if you ever want to stop on by, you will get a waitlist role. Maybe there'll be an open spot for you. Maybe we can add you for the waitlist itself, depending on how things are going. But we'd love to have you. It's going to be a great time here at Final Frontier Baseball. And yeah, I wish you all the best. Take care.